What is going on, guys? My name is Kenji and welcome back to my channel. Hope it's not the first time you're watching one of my videos, but just in case it is, I'm a doctor working in London. And in this video, I'll be taking you guys through my first ever paycheck as a junior doctor in the UK. And if you're someone who's actually interested in working as a doctor, I think it's really important that you guys know exactly how much you'll be getting paid in your first year working as a doctor. But before we actually start the video, I want to take a second to thank our sponsor today, who is me. A lot of you guys probably don't know that I have my very own medicine application mentorship scheme. Essentially what that is a whole entire one-to-one program with me and my team, helping you guys throughout the entire medicine application process, from writing your personal statements to preparing for the aptitude test, for the very difficult interviews as well. So if you'd like to be mentored one-to-one with me and my team, then click the link down below in the description. And we love to actually help you guys in your medicine application, no matter where you are in your actual process of applying to medical school. Without further ado, let's go ahead and dive in to actually look at how much I earned on my first month of working as a junior doctor. So I'll be taking you guys through the entire pay slip, which is what I actually received on the day that I got paid. So actually starting at the top, you can see my name over here, which is obviously Dr. Kenji and I. Moving down, we have the department, which is medical staffing, just kind of a generic name they use over there. Job title, so FY1 doctor. So that's, first year doctor in the UK. And then we have my specialty right now, which is in pediatrics. We have the pay scale description. So this is the pay scale of a foundation year 1 doctor. And if you're not from the UK, this is essentially literally the first job that you start after graduating from medical school, which is what I am now as a foundation year doctor. We then have all of the kind of boring information here, like the tax office name, tax reference number. Those things are not important. But let's jump straight into the juicy part, which is how much I actually got paid. So starting off with the first line, the basic pay. So the basic pay is essentially the normal hourly rate that all junior doctors in the UK get paid as part of their first year working as a doctor. So in terms of the actual number of hours that I worked across the entire month, I worked 162 hours and 0.6 of an hour as well across the entire month. So that averages out roughly to around 40 hours per week. And that's how many hours I was actually paid. Now, in terms of how much I actually earned per hour, this is the basic hourly rate that we earn as junior doctors in the UK, which is £14 or 14.0882. I'm not entirely sure how they actually work these numbers out, but I'm essentially paid £14 per hour here in the UK, which a lot of you guys are probably going to be surprised. In terms of how much I actually earned, so what they did is they took my number of hours that I worked across the entire month and times that by my hourly rate to give us a grand total amount of £2,290.69 for my basic pay, but that's not actually the end. What I also got is the London fringe bonus. So essentially, because I work in London, I got paid an extra bonus of 0.0 pence per hour that I actually work. Now this obviously is not that much, and it only came up to a total of £11.62. If I was actually working in central London, that would be much higher. I think if I was actually working in central London, it actually works out to be maybe around £200 per month. The reason being is that it costs quite a lot more to actually live and work in London, so you'll obviously have to pay for a higher amount of rent and higher amount of travel costs as well. But because we're not in central London, I'm actually based on the sort of outskirts of London, I only got paid almost £12 per hour for that. Now, a lot of junior doctors in the UK also work night duty, so that's working outside of their normal working hours, and that's generally on night shifts. On my actual rotation in pediatric medicine, I only work from 9 AM till 5 PM. I don't have any hours that are actually out of hours, so being past 5 PM. I have no night shifts, and I also have no weekends and no on-calls as well. But apparently I worked 1 hour past 5 PM. I don't know how that was calculated. I actually don't remember working past 5 PM at all. And I got paid £5.30 for that. So no idea what that was about, but I didn't really work any out of hours during the night. As well as that, I got paid quite a significant amount here. So I got paid £566.38 for my shadowing week. And what that essentially is that when you start your first job as a junior doctor, when you just graduate medical school, instead of actually working for 4 weeks, you actually come in a week earlier to actually start your induction process of working at the actual hospital. So instead of starting work on the first Wednesday of August, which is generally called Black Wednesday, which is when all of the junior doctors across the entire country actually start working. If you're an F1, you normally start a week earlier. So that's kind of doing things like all of the induction processes. You also have a couple of days of shadowing the actual F1 whose job you're going to be taking on the wards. And that's just the NHS's way of making sure that you're extra safe. It's obviously your first job ever, so they want to give you a couple of days of actually shadowing the doctors so you know exactly what you'll be doing, how to access the computers, and how to do all of the kind of things and jobs related to the job that you'll be starting on that given week. For that entire week, I was paid £566. Obviously, for my next paycheck, this would not be there because I won't have any sort of shadowing week. I'll just have my normal, 4 weeks of working. So that was actually a nice bonus to have. But that's not the end. Even though I earned all of these values, added up, they also took a bunch of money away from me as well. The first thing they take away from your salary is national insurance. So national insurance is basically the money that's taken for your state contributions. So that is £241.94 that was taken away. I also had the NHS pension that was taken away from me. So the NHS pension is actually widely known as a pretty good pension to sign up for. So all doctors are automatically signed onto the NHS pension, I believe. And I think you can actually opt out of the NHS pension if you want to. But obviously I want to have a nice pension when I retire. So they take £214.11 from me in this given month for my NHS pension. So if we actually look at the income minus the deductions, we'll actually get the final figure that I was actually paid into my bank account. The total pay that I actually earned was £2,873.99. That's obviously not including the deductions. So in terms of the total deductions after national insurance and the NHS pension and stuff like that, that's total to £456.05. So if we minus my total payment from all of those deductions, my net pay at the end of the month, which actually entered my bank account, was £2,417.94. So that was my take-home pay essentially. Now there's actually a few more things to take into account when looking at my pay. The first is that I didn't actually pay any income tax at all for my first paycheck. The reason being is that in the UK, you normally have a personal allowance, which I think is around £12,750. So you're not taxed on any figure that is below £12,750. So it will take a couple of months before I actually start paying income tax. And once I actually do that, I'll obviously be expected to earn slightly less because they'll start taking away my tax. Now, as I mentioned before previously, on my actual rotation in pediatrics, for this whole entire 4 months, I have no night shifts, I have no weekend work, so I don't work any weekends at all, and I don't work any on-call hours, so I'm not working outside of 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. I'm working a standard 40-hour week from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. Now, that obviously means that my pay is going to be affected by that. My actual salary for the entire year is predicted to be £2,384, but that's actually not a true reflection of how much I'll actually work and earn throughout the entire year. What they do and how they calculate this value here is that they take my pay across these 4 months in pediatrics and they times that by 3 to give me a prediction of what I would earn if I was actually staying in pediatrics for the entire year. But as I'm sure you guys know, as a junior doctor, we have 4-month rotations. So in December, I'll be moving on to geriatrics for 4 months. And then after geriatrics, I'll be moving on to psychiatry for another 4 months. And because I'll be working in geriatrics and psychiatry, I will have nights, I will have weekends, and I will have on-calls. So my actual salary will be slightly higher than what you can see over here. And the reason being is that I will be working more hours per week. And also I'll be paid a slightly higher hourly rate because if you work these unsociable hours and you work nights and you work weekends, you are paid a slight premium, which I think is 37% above the normal hourly rate. So my actual salary across the year is probably going to be around £35,000 on average is what I'm going to predict it to be once I actually take into account the rest of my medical rotations, which I'll have later on in the year. So the actual salary that you might earn as an F1 doctor can actually vary significantly. So I'm working the very basic minimum hours that a doctor can work, which is 40 hours per week. And as I mentioned, I have none of those extra kind of premium pay hours because I only work 9 to 5 p.m. But some of my friends who are working, let's say in general surgery, who do have nights, weekends and on-calls are actually earning close to £40,000 per year because they have more hours per week. And because as I mentioned, they're working those kind of extra premium hours as well. And that's pretty much how much I earned as a junior doctor in this pediatric rotation. What will actually be really interesting is to compare these numbers to what I'll be earning on my next rotation in geriatrics and also in psychiatry as well. And what I'll actually do is once I'm done with my whole entire first year of medicine, I'll take you guys through how much I actually earned across the entire year. Now, to actually talk about how I actually spent this money, first of all, it was really nice to finally go onto my bank account and see that number in my actual bank account. It was really strange. I actually got an email from American Express saying that my direct debit for my credit card is due tomorrow. So I went onto my bank account on my online banking to try and transfer some money to my American Express credit card to pay off of that money. And then I saw that figure hit my account and I was like, whoa, this is really weird. Why do I have all of this money in my account all of a sudden? So it was really nice to have. In terms of how I actually spent it, so I wish it was more exciting, but the first thing I did when I actually got paid was to pay off that American Express credit card. Because I finished medical school in June, I actually didn't have a salary for June, July, and August, so I wasn't paid for pretty much 3 months. I had no income at all for the 3 months of summer. Obviously apart from YouTube, but I try not to use my YouTube money to pay for my living expenses because I want to keep that in a separate account of all my kind of business earnings and keep that completely separate to my life earnings. So for 3 whole entire months, I had no student finance, I had no salary, I had no income. So essentially how I was living off of my credit card. So of course, as soon as I got paid, I had to pay my credit card off. When you actually graduate medical school, guys, there is a bunch of money that comes out of your account. The reason being is you have to pay for things like graduation costs. So, you know, renting your gown when you graduate, you have to pay for the graduation tickets for all of your guests to attend your graduation. You have to pay for the ball. So if you guys have been watching my channel, you saw that I had a graduation ball, and that means you have to buy a tuxedo, you have to pay for the tickets, which cost so much money. You then have to pay for all of the moving costs because of course you'll be moving into a new city probably. You have to pay for your apartment. So obviously moving into this apartment here, I had to pay for June, July, August rent and all the bills associated with that. I had to furnish this apartment, so I had to buy a TV and a tree and all of these things in my apartment. So all of those things cost a lot of money. So I was very happy to just receive all this money and pay off my credit card. But of course, I also, you know, spent a bit of money here on a few random things to treat myself. So for example, I got some really random stuff like a new Bluetooth speaker. I also bought a essential oil diffuser, which you might actually see down there in the corner. I'm gonna buy myself a nice coffee machine. So I really want to buy, you know, those like coffee machines that the baristas use. I also want to treat myself to that as well. So of course I am enjoying all of these things. And when my mom comes back to the UK, I definitely will be taking her out on a nice dinner on me. I want to finish off this video by reminding you that if you want to join my online medicine mentorship program, then a link will be down below in the description, and I'd love to tutor you myself to help you with your medicine application. Before you guys go, here are a bunch of videos on my channel that you might really enjoy. Thank you so much for watching. Leave a like and make sure you're subscribed, and I'll see you guys on the next one.